Well, hello. Today, I'm going to do something that I would highly advise you not to do. And that is to open up your ATEM Mini Pro. I'm doing it so you don't have to. You're probably wondering, will this void my warranty? Yes, it will. Shall we? That is right, guys. We are going to bust this guy open, the ATEM Mini Pro, and actually look and see what's inside, what's under the hood. Now, at one point in a previous life, I did a lot of small electronics repairs, kind of like this, busting this kind of stuff open and seeing what's wrong with it. Most of the stuff worked when I put it back together, so I think we got a good chance here. So this is a very popular little guy right now, and he has a lot of cool stuff inside of him. And me, I've always done this since I was a little kid. I pulled apart all sorts of electronic stuff that I had, like little toys and things, and it just kind of continued with me up through being a grown-up. So I thought I would do it so you guys don't have to, and you can benefit and see what's actually inside this guy. Now I've done a little bit of digging and kind of going around it and seeing if it's actually possible to do it. There's a gotcha just at the beginning so far that I've seen. I actually haven't gotten all the way in yet, but we're gonna do that hopefully right now. The first thing you gotta do, and I've already pulled these off, there's two little feet on the back here that go on each side, and they just peel off. They're a little tricky to get off, but once you get them off, just set them aside, and they'll retain their stickiness actually quite a bit, because I pulled them off at one point and then stuck them back on for, I don't know, another couple weeks before I started doing this again, and they were just as hard to get off the second time. Now, once you get those rubber pads off, there are 4 Torx screws, and they require a, I don't know if you can see that, a T10 Torx screwdriver. So we're just gonna pop those out really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. At this point you'd think, okay, now I can pop it off. This top part is just a clamshell over top of the bottom part, and they've got little tabs that hold it in place all the way around. If you try to pop those tabs in our current situation, they'll pop, but you won't be able to get it off, and here's why. Under here, about right here, there's a 5th screw. That's right, a 5th screw. So what I'm going to do very carefully, I'm just gonna peel this back with a small flathead. Easy does it with this. Because the sticker is integral to the operation of the machine. No, it's not, I'm joking. That's 100% not true. So we're just gonna slowly pull it back. Ta-da, there he is. I don't know if you can see him there, yep. There he is, right there. Little punk. So now we're gonna come in here and pop screw number 5 out. There he is, little punk. The little Dickens. Now that we have that 5th screw out, what we're gonna do is, there's one more thing we have to do before we start popping tabs, is on the top here, there is a kind of a screw-on strain relief for the power, and we're just gonna loosen that. You may have to get a flathead screwdriver and loosen that up completely, but we're just gonna pop it off like that. And that would prevent us from doing anything, getting this back panel off. It just, or probably, I'm guessing it's probably by itself, and then this is all soldered to a PC board. We'll see. All right, now that we have that, we're gonna use this little pick tool, and we're gonna start popping the tabs off. And I'm gonna suspect that it's gonna be relatively easy to do so. Oh yeah, look at that. It just pops right open, look at that. Okay, now this is where we have to be cautious because we don't know what's connected to the top or the bottom. So I'm guessing if I go like this, there's going to be a couple things that are connected to things. Looks like we have all these buttons here that are connected to a PC board. They're physically soldered onto a PC board. That's just what I'm seeing. And then we've got the I/O is on the bottom board. And I think we can just continue around like this. And we'll pop these ones off, these little tabs. There we go. Okay. So now everything is loose. So if I do this, see that? It is all loose in there, but you can tell there's a couple of things holding it on. But we can clamshell it out like this. So it looks like it, when we pop these tabs, it clamshells out like that. And we've got a lower I/O PC board with a heat sink. And here's your fan right here that blows air across the heat sink. And then we have this upper PC board here. So what we're gonna do here is we are going to remove this ribbon cable and this cable here. This guy you can just wiggle out like that. So you see this guy is just sitting in here, and all we have to do is just pop this little catch up and the whole thing pops out. So now we've got our two halves, just like that. All right, so here's the top piece, if you can see that there. And on the top piece, underneath we have the fan, which blows across the heatsink on the other piece here. These are all basically the same torque screw. If I'm looking at them right there. They look like Allen screws at the beginning, but I think they're actually torque screws. So the first one we're gonna pull off this fan. It looks like it has 3 screws, so let's get those off. Now that's the fan. That's just the fan shroud. So that's just the shroud coming off. The fan is still there, which it is a quiet fan. If you guys have ever like heard this fan going, it's pretty dang quiet. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these same screws to get out of this upper PC board. 1, 2. You can see where that little dickens of a center screw went in right there. Okay, we're halfway done. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I felt that top plastic piece break away. So we're gonna flip this over and then we'll pull this top off. Okay, you guys ready? Ah, that's pretty cool. Okay. Wait, really? Look at this. So we've got these pads here. Let's pull all these off. Here's your upper pads. And here are all the new stuff. So I'm going to use this little screwdriver just to kind of point at things. I'm not going to actually touch the PC board. If we look over on here, we've got all these little contact points where if you see on the back of these, they've got those little pads, those little black dots that are pads that register when you press a button. So we've got them all over this thing. So this area right here, here are all your inputs. And if you look at the bottom of the button, they've got 4 pads on there that contact these 4 points, which is kind of cool. And then they've got an individual LED for each color, which is nice because all they need is red, green, and white. See here and here and here and here, these are your microphone input LEDs. But what's really interesting to me is, let's take a look at this really quick. We're gonna put these back on. And what I can't help but notice is that there's these pads right here. I would be interested to get a hold of just a regular ATEM Mini and see if it has the pads for all this extra stuff on the side here that we get with the Pro. Because if so, is this going to be giving us another input? Would it be like another audio input because it's right next to the other microphone inputs? You've got SW1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Were they originally planning on having like 3 microphone inputs on this, or will that be something on the ATEM Mini Pro X or Pro Plus or whatever they decide to do in the future? All right, so this is the bottom section here. And as you can see, your inputs are across the back here. Here's your heat sink. And the fan on the top sucks air through the side vent and then blows it across the heat sink. And then it comes out the exhaust on the other side. So it looks like it's moving air from right to left. Now in here we have some of those same screws. So it looks like to get this shield off, we just need to undo a couple here. Let's see if that is the case. There's one screw. There's the second screw. Let's see. There's something else holding it on. Or if it's under these thermal pads. Let's see. Got something under here. Hey, there's one right there. Right under that thermal pad there. Okay, so that gets... I bet you there's one under here too. There he is, right there. Okay, now we're gonna feel like we gotta pull off like this back part here. Careful. Easy does it. Very thin aluminum. Okay, so we have a total of 6 screws, it looks like. If you're ever doing this kind of stuff, one of the best things to have is some of these things. These are hemostats that medical professional or the medical industry uses, but we use them too because you can get little things and move like little pieces of wire around easily. And in my case, I could fish out a non-magnetic screw. I don't damage anything. Okay, now we'll go with the second one here. Some of these just pop out. See, that one just popped out. Fine, friction on the screwdriver. Okay, let's see if we can get this entire piece out now. There we go. Ah, look at that. Okay, so that was 6 screws to get that aluminum piece off. I'm not going to take off the heat sink. I really don't want to do that. I also don't want to mess with that button right there because I gotta make sure this works afterwards. So it looks like that, pulling out those 6 screws in each of those spots also secures this lower PC board, which is a cool design. Okay, so now let's pop this last, well, it looks like the last screw. I can feel the IO getting a little loose, so we'll put that 7th screw right there. And let's see if, so I want to kind of come up and then pull the IO out like this because I don't want to pull the IO because if you look, the IO isn't really recessed that far, especially this guy. The power is the biggest thing. So I want to pop it up and kind of pull it, pop it up and pull it towards me. So let's see if I can do that without breaking anything. Okay, hey. That wasn't too bad. Okay. I honestly have no idea what's going on here. This is above my pay grade. I'm not great at component level diagnostics. So for those of you who probably know a little bit more, I can kind of, you can pause the video right here and let me know what you see. A couple things that we can see here. RTC clock out, USB V bus. And we also have stuff on the bottom here. So this is all the stuff that makes it work. Oh, there's all your IO right there, which is just nuts on how that all kind of comes out there. It looks like if I were to pinch, let's see here, if I were to pinch this and this, that heat sink would pop off. I don't know if I want to do that because it will really pop off and there's probably a, I don't know, should I? I've made the decision. I'm gonna do it. Okay, there's one. I'm just pinching these. They're a spring-loaded thing here. Okay. So there is the heat sink. Let's see if we can get pull this guy off. I'm being very careful. I'm not going to go too hard. Well, it feels like we got some thermal compound there. There we go. Whoa, whoa, careful there. So there's the heat sink. Here's the thermal compound. Wow, that's a lot of thermal compound, but I'm glad they put it on there to keep it cool. That, I believe, will be your, I don't know if it's a SoC that they use in this, probably a system on a chip or something like that. But it looks awesome. And that the mounting mechanism for that heatsink is pretty cool. So let's leave that right there so we can get a good shot of it. Another interesting thing, the really interesting thing about these is the blank spaces. So you got these guys, which I'm assuming is some additional processing of some sort, and then you've got these blank spaces here. That's probably for future. I bet they're planning a bunch of stuff for the future, but it's just interesting to see the blank spots in this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna get this back on before it gets a little too exposed. It's nerve-wracking sometimes, all right? Get these back on. There we go, okay. Just need to push a little harder with my finger. All right, so don't feel like those are in the same place. Oh yeah, they are, okay, yep, we're good. Okay, so we've got that back together. So we'll put these kind of side by side here so you guys can see what's going on. This is really all that's inside. It's kind of, there's a lot going on here, I'm sure. Well beyond my understanding of this stuff, but it's really cool to look in here and see what's going on. And you know, we've got our microphone inputs that we love so much. And actually looking at these, if you look on how they're soldered, we already knew because of, you know, past videos that they are a TRS connection, which is the tip ring sleeve, and you can kind of see it. It's hard to see here, but inside of here you can actually see where the tip, so here's where the tip connects. The ring is that little spot on the inside, and then the ground is, I believe, on the other side here. Very cool. One of the things that's really interesting, what makes me think that the top PC board is the same as the ATEM Mini, is that underneath the Blackmagic design logo, it says copyright 2019, which means that this has always looked probably like this. On the bottom PCB, where we also have the Blackmagic design logo, it says copyright 2020. And because all the processing is done on this specific board, the lower PC board, that makes sense that this is the one that they need to update. But it begs the question, was the upper PC board always like that? Did it always have those buttons available to be used? Well, I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. Now I got the daunting task of putting it back together and hoping that it works. So, if you guys like that, go ahead and comment below on anything else you want to see me take apart. I don't know. I'm sure there's something else out there. But it was cool to look and see what's actually, you know, what's beating at the center, the heart that's beating at the center of this thing, because it's such a popular device that a lot of people don't really know what's going on under the hood. And usually, you know, most of the time, we don't really care, as long as it works, right? As long as it works. Once it breaks, that's when we care. So this is a torn apart ATEM Mini Pro sitting right here on my desk. So I'm gonna put that back together, and be sure to like and subscribe to this video. If you thumb up us, it really helps. So it helps push us up in the ratings that whatever YouTube does these days, and helps get the video out to other people who want to see it. So that's cool. Thanks guys, I appreciate you for being here. Comment below whatever you guys want to know. Any questions or anything that you have that I can answer. Not sure I can answer much, but I'll give it a go. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Please. Is it on? Oh. Okay. Yes. 3, 4. Oh, thank goodness. Ah, it's a close one.